All right, begin in a seated position. Come to Sakasana. One ankle in front of the other. Give yourself just a few moments to settle in. Swaying a little bit, just moving around, finding your center, and remembering and recognizing that balance is a state that you come in and out of constantly. It's not a place that you get to arrive to. And then find the place where you feel pretty much more or less centered physically. Start to take some deeper inhales and slower exhales. So on your exhales, allowing everything to soften. On your inhales, allowing everything to brighten and expand. Bring your palms together, thumbs to your heart center. And breathing into this heart space, pressing into your thumbs. Taking care to breathe out to the backside of your chest as well. And let's take another breath together as you deep breath in. Exhale, maybe even through parted lips. Let it go. And if your eyes are closed, allow them, oh, dog just broke in. Allow them to blink open. And release your hands down towards your thighs. On an inhale, bring your arms out and up, send your gaze upward. On an exhale, twist to your left, right hand to your left thigh, left fingertips behind you. Just stay here to the full exhale, and then inhale, take it back to center. And then release over to the other side. One more time, either side, moving with your breath. Back to center, and on an exhale, take your hands to your heart center. Switch out the cross of your legs, or if this isn't working for you, you can always sit on your knees instead. Inhale, bring your arms out and up. And then you're going to flip your hands, palms away from each other. Take your left wrist in front of the right, palms together, and then start to bring your elbows out and away from you, pressing your palms together as much as you can. Shrug your shoulders back, low belly in. So notice if, as your center of gravity shifts a little bit here, if you start to puff out your chest, bring it in. Continue to press your hands against each other. When I do this, I feel a lot of activity in my deltoids, like the top out sides of my shoulders. All right, lift up and then unwind. So your arms all the way back down. Probably feel some blood rushing. Take it all the way back up again. Flip palms away from you. This time, a right wrist in front of the other. If it feels suspiciously similar, take the other side. Press palms together, shrug your shoulders back, bring your elbows out away from each other as you're continuing to create that resistance, maybe even building a little bit of heat here. Just 2 more breaths, finding calmness. All right, and then lift up and then swivel all the way around. Sorry, I feel like my dog messed up on the screen. Awesome. Roll onto your back, pull your knees in towards your chest, just to find a little bit of compression here at the front of your hip flexors. So bring your toes together, knees apart, kind of like you were coming into a child's pose. Shoulders back, really pulling your hands against your shins and shins pressing against your hands. So really finding a good wake-up call here. All right, and then release, and we're going to just work on some control here. Bring your arms out to the side. Big old Texas T, and then your knees are bent at 90 degrees. So flex or point your toes, just find some activity. This is going to help you here. Lower both of your knees over to the left, maybe keeping your right shoulder generally pointed down towards the mat. Mine does lift up a little bit. On an exhale, bring your knees back to center, rock it over to the right. Seeing if you can still maintain that 90-degree angle. Inhale up to center, drop to the left, up to center, drop to the right. So this is one of those transitions that, maybe the first couple times, no big deal. And then you'll find that maintaining this form and ease as you swivel from side to side becomes a little bit more challenging, more intense. All right, and then finish that out, come back to center. Don't let your knees drop just yet. Bring your arms up above your head this time. Extend a right leg up, left leg out to hover. And you're going to cross your left arm across,
So we get a little bit of a twist here.
Take it back to center, bend both knees 90 degrees. Right leg up,
Lift that out, left arm out across.
back to center. Right leg up,
Left leg across, left arm across.
2 more times like this. And then after that second time, we're going to transition immediately to the other side. No breaks. Left leg up,
Right arm across, right leg out, cover. Continue to move with your breath.
Soften through your neck.
Notice if your forehead
And the muscles around your eyes are starting to get tight. 2 more times. Poor neglected left side. All right, and then bring your hands to the backs of your thighs, rock up and down the length of your spine. We're going to end in a forward fold at the top of the mat. If rocking up and down doesn't work for you, then get there any way you like. Then maybe you come all the way up without the use of your hands. Forward fold, top of mat. Separate your feet, hips width distance apart. Inhale, halfway lift. Let's stay here for a few breaths. Shrug your shoulders back. Your fingers are pressed against the mat or your shins. Press your feet down and away. Lengthen out as far as you can. Even reach out through your neck. Notice if all the weight's in your heels. Shift it forward till you're balancing on the big toe mound, low toe mound, and center of your heel. And then on exhale, keeping all that activity, bring your forehead down, chest toward thighs. Let's do that again. Inhale, halfway lift. Look out. Super, super active through your legs. Like everything is bright. Exhale, forward fold, even deeper. Once more like this. And then exhale, forward fold. Reverse swan dive, keeping all that activity you've created. Reach your arms out and up. Starting to feel real bright. Palms up. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Bring your toes together, heels slightly apart. Sit low, Utkatasana. Lift up your arms. Sit your hips back low. We're going to stay here for just a few breaths. Shoulders are down. And then we're going to add a couple things here. Bring your palms together and then start to bring the thumbs towards the back of your neck so you're pointing your elbows straight up. Notice if this is causing an arch in your back that's more severe, knit your ribs in. So you don't need to like curl your back, but just bring a little bit more neutrality into your spine as you press your head back to your forearms, pointing your elbows up, maybe sit a little bit deeper. For this, maybe shift the weight more into your heels. Long, slow breaths. Release your hands. Lift your hips up, forward fold, release all the way down. Breath in, halfway lift, look up. On an exhale, step back to top of plank pose. We're gonna stay in this plank pose for several breaths. In your elbows, point forward. Shoulder blades are reaching back, allowing you to have a really long neck here. Gaze just kind of like slightly beyond your fingertips. My dog is very charming. And then come down to your right forearm and then onto your left forearm so that we're in a forearm plank. If it's not comfortable for you to have your forearms parallel to each other, you can interlace your hands. But see what you can do here. Maybe you need to drop your knees down to the mat if this starts to become to the realm of discomfort. Not just, I realize that my body is working and doing some very exciting things right now. And let's make things a little bit more exciting. Start to walk your feet in towards you. So we're coming to a dolphin pose. Straight away, moving into dolphin. This is our first downward facing dog, right? We haven't even gotten here yet. Pressing the mat away from you. If you've got parallel forearms, spread your fingertips wide. Notice any heat that's being created. Feel that like an offering to yourself and to your practice. All right, and then start to walk your feet back to your forearm plank. Press up on your right hand, press up on your left hand, and then make your way back to downward facing dog. Real first downward facing dog of this class. Several breaths here. And then let's refine this pose. Let's find a really active down dog. Bend your knees, press your chest back toward your thighs. Okay, now imagine that your shoulder blades could wrap down around your rib cage. One of the ways that you can facilitate this is pointing your inner elbows upward. You might find a little bit more support here and a little bit less drop through your upper back. You might feel like it's not as deep. That's fine. You're doing great. Press down through that L shape of your palms. Keep pressing your chest back toward your thighs. I know it's intense. Feel as though your inner thighs are reaching back, Let your hips lift up. This will cause a straightening of your legs. Might not be totally straight. That part's unimportant, but you're really pointing your hips up and find that low belly engagement that we had earlier in our halfway lift and our forward fold. Really, really active downward facing dog. Again, maybe you're starting to find a bit of heat being built. All right, rise to your toes, roll to the top of a plank pose. We're back here in our plank. This time we're gonna lower all the way down to the mat, maybe keeping your knees up, elbows in towards your ribcage, just lower all the way down. Keeping your shoulders up, untuck your toes. Inhale, Cobra pose. Hover your hands away from the mat. Bring your elbows like they touch behind you. You're still flaring through your toes. Your kneecaps might come away. Continue long, slow breaths. Softening through your forehead. And then simply release your hands down to the mat, back to that Cobra pose, but still super active. All right, exhale, release your forehead down to the mat. Elbows are gonna point straight up. Tuck your toes. Bring your knees are gonna come away from the mat. And depending on your body's anatomy, they might still be touching, but you still have that activity of moving them away. Shoulders up and back, low belly in. So actually feel your hips, your pelvis maybe pressing more into the mat. Pressing through your hands, we're gonna press up into a chaturanga. So feel free to drop your knees to this if you'd like, or challenge straight as a board, press up through chaturanga to plank pose, up and back, downward facing dog once again. Pivot your left foot in at a 45-degree angle. Step your right foot all the way forward. We're going to come to a warrior one pose. Lift all the way up. Shoulders back. And so in this pose, as you know, right hip is gently drawing back as your left hip pulls forward. Press your palms together above your head. Shrug your shoulders back. Find a little swivel, find a little bit of movement. And then release your hands so the backs of your thumbs, or the thumbs rather, to the back of your neck. Notice if you're starting to swivel out to the left, continue to use your left leg to help swivel your entire torso toward the center. Maybe send your gaze up as you're pressing your hands into your forearms. Getting a little warmer here. And then release your hands down, pivot onto the ball of your back foot. Take your hands down to the mat. You're in a low lunge. Or weight to your left palm, to your right fingertips up toward the ceiling. Spin your toes over to the right, so you're in a IT band stretch. And then we're gonna come to full Sakasana. Right leg over left, maybe hover. This is up to you. And then again, we're gonna move into a little bit of that upper back arm mobility. You can, if you'd like. Swing your right arm up over your head, pinky down. So your forearm is more over your ear. Draw the largest rainbow arc you can across until your fingers are reaching towards your right foot. Swing it up and around, up and over again. You're still in your side plank. You can always drop down if you'd like. Keep pressing to the left hand. And then when you're ready, rock back onto your plank pose. Right hand is down. Just breathe. Press up and back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in, full breath out. Step your right foot in slightly at a 45-degree angle. Step left foot forward, warrior one, opposite side. Rise up. Again, think of all those things that we just did. Press to the outer edge of the right foot. Really bend deeply into the left knee. Low belly in, best you can. Notice if you see the swing forward, see if you can bring it back. And then once again, palms together, start to drop the thumbs to the back of your neck, tops of your back. Maintain the deep bend, point your elbows up. Notice if that back is starting to arc a bit too much, take it out, take the arc into the upper back instead of lower. Just breathe. All right, release. Take your hands down to the mat. Excuse me, Adelaide. Pivot on the ball of your back foot so you're in a low lunge. Weight to right palm, left fingertips come up toward the ceiling. And then we're gonna move to side plank. Left foot over right, maybe keep it hovered. Always, there's other options to drop the knee down, drop the foot down, stagger your feet. And I'm gonna move into more of that mobility. Reach your left arm up and over your head. Pinky is down, upper arm along your ear, and then draw a huge arc across your ceiling and walls. until you're pointing to your back toes. Lift up and over. Arc once again. Up and over your head, as long as you can make it. Back pointing towards your toes. And then come back to your plank pose, rock back down. This time, come onto your left forearm, then to your right forearm. We're back in this forearm plank. Simply breathe here. And then start to bend one knee down to the mat. Lift up, left knee down to the mat. And then start to just pivot. Right knee down, left knee down, right knee down, left knee down. And then bring both your knees up. We're going to come to Dolphin Pose once again. Walk your feet in toward you. And of course, if these parallel forearms are not supportive enough for you, it's not quite feeling right, you're not feeling safe, bring your palms together and interlace your fingers, but maybe the opposite way from the time before if you did it on the other side. All right, start to walk your feet back. Drop one knee to the mat, then the other. Walking them back and forth. And then drop both knees down to the mat. Knees a bit wide, heels towards hips, child's pose. Arms out in front of you. Deep breath in. Full breath out. Notice if your breath has changed, temperature of your body, quality of your thoughts. Just noting any transitions that you're going through. Again, balance is something that is moving. It is fluid. Balance is movement. All right, lift your way up until you're sitting on your knees. You can bring your knees together. You can keep them wide apart from each other. Shrug your shoulders back. Take a deep breath in. And then stick your tongue out, curl your tongue, exhale through your tongue. Inhale through the curled tongue. Exhale through your curled tongue. 3 more times like this. And after you're complete with that, release your tongue to a more relaxed position. Close your lips and come back either to your regular breathing, or if you practice Ujjayi breath. So a little bit of a cooling breath there. I want you to, if you've got your blocks, we're going to take a variation of child's pose that I had shared with you right before we began the formal part of our asana practice. So if you don't have the blocks, no worries. I'm going to show you both ways to do this. You're going to come forward into your child's pose. And you're going to have your forearms out in front of you. And your forehead might touch the mat, as it might typically do or might typically not. Bring your palms together and then lift your hands so your thumbs are to the back of your neck. So we've done this shape several times. Here you're going to reach your elbows forward, shrug your shoulder blades like they're coming around your torso, and then maybe walk your arms a little bit further out. So this might feel a little bit intense. The way the blocks is exactly the same, except for your forearms are on top of the blocks. So I need to scooch up a little bit so I can feel a little bit more secure. My head is down. For me, my head does touch the mat. Wasn't always the case. Same thing here. You're reaching your hips back to your heels. Your thumbs are pressed into the back of your body. Your elbows are reaching forward. Shoulder blades wrapping down and around. Though this is a child's pose, it is not relaxed. It is very active. Deep breath in, full breath out. And then you're going to unwind. You're going to set your blocks to the side if you use them. Come up onto your hands and knees. So realign so that your knees are under your hips and your heels are straight out behind you. Inhale, release your belly down, hips up, heart up for a cow pose. Exhale, press into your cat, like the strongest cat you could possibly imagine. We're going to hang out here in our cat pose. Inner elbows pointing forward. You're either flaring your toes, pressing into the mat, or you've got your toes tucked and you're flicking it away from you. knit in your ribs to your hips, like you're trying to really compress that space in the midsection of your body. All right, now we're going to move into our cow pose just as intensely and just with as much focus. So on an inhale, you're going to expand that space you just contracted, reach your heart forward, allow your hips to tilt up. And in this position, you can even more externally rotate your upper arms so your inside elbows might be going forward again. Even more. Find that activity through your feet. And then come back down to neutral spine. Tuck your toes, hover your knees away from the mat, and then come into your cow pose. Same but different. So now you're flicking the mat away from you because you need it to stay up. And then on an exhale, keeping your knees lifted, keep pressing down through that L shape with both hands. Coming into a cat. Inhale, take it forward to your cow pose. Exhale, take it into your cat. Once more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And then press it up and back, downward facing dog. Notice if you feel any difference in your shoulders, sides of your body, than a few minutes ago or the beginning of this class. Deep breath in. Full breath out. On inhale, rise to your toes. Come to the top of a plank pose. Come onto your left forearm. Come onto your right forearm. Press up on your left hand. Press up on your right hand. Right forearm down. Left forearm. Right hand up. Left hand. Left forearm. Right forearm. Left hand. Right hand. Right forearm. Left forearm. Right hand. Left hand. We're going to do this again. Once either side. All right, and you've come back to your high plank pose. Once more, come down to your forearms, forearm plank. Long, slow breaths. Walk your feet in toward your hands, dolphin pose. Stay here for a few breaths. And then walk your feet in maybe a tiny bit closer. Three more breaths here. At the end of your third breath, walk your feet back till you're in the forearm plank. Press up to your hands, full on plank pose. And then on an exhale, lower all the way down to your mat through chaturanga, knees up or down. Untuck your toes. We're going to take a wide arm cobra. So bring your hands out to the side, onto your fingertips, and maybe even like rock to one side, lengthen one leg, rock to the other side, lengthen out the other leg. Just kind of create some space underneath your thighs and your feet. Shoulders are back, elbows are pointing up, forehead into the mat. And let's even do a backwards breath here. So inhale, prepare. All right, low belly in, press the tops of feet, roll your way up. Inhale, unravel. Exhale, wave it all the way back down. Forehead is down, inhale. Exhale. Use that strength to roll your way up. Inhale, unravel. Don't forget to flare your toes here. Take it all the way back down. Once more like this, lift all the way up. Unravel. And this time I want you to come into more of a Sphinx pose. So allow yourself to lower down enough that you can place your elbows underneath your shoulders, forearms out in front of you. And then drag your hands against the mat. Shrug your heart forward and shoulders back. That same activity through your legs for your Sphinx. Just breathe here. All right, swivel your elbows out to the side. Lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Take one cheek to the mat. Let your heels drop out to the side. Allow yourself to rest, relax, observe. Not fully letting go, but inviting softness in. Just as much as you've been able to invite in all of that energy and warmth and strength, also welcome this. All right. press back up onto your forearms, kind of like you were coming into that Sphinx pose once again. We're going to move into a Bakasana pose. So moving into, I believe it's frog, actually. So it might be more comfortable for you to take first your left hand parallel, so your forearm is parallel to the short side of your mat, the front side. And you're going to kick up your right heel, reach your right arm all the way back, grasp your foot, and then start to bring your heel down towards your outer right hip. Okay. If you're like, this is going so well for me, I'm really enjoying this, you might come to a place you're like, it's quite fine. Thank you so much. And if you're like, I'm quite enjoying this, let's go a little bit further. This part is a little interesting. You're gonna have to swivel your hand around so that you can curl your fingertips around the bottom of your foot and pointing your elbow straight up toward the ceiling. Bring your shoulders more towards the front of your mat as you continue to bring your right heel to your right outer hip. Continue pressing through your left arm so you're not slumping into your left shoulder. Keep everything bright. 2 more breaths. All right, swivel your hand around, release your foot, let your foot come all the way back down. Come back to that Sphinx. 2 breaths here. And then we're gonna take it to the other side. You're gonna pivot your right arm so that your forearm is parallel to the front side of your mat. Bring your left heel up. You're gonna reach your left arm up and back to grasp the foot, to guide it towards your outer hip. Take a couple minutes here. What's going on with your knees? What's going on with your thighs, your hips, ankles, toes? There's a lot of things happening here. And then if and when you'll want, you're going to pivot your hand around, your elbows pointing straight up. Again, it'll be like your fingertips are facing towards the front of the mat, and then you curl underneath your foot, bringing your foot down closer to the outside. Don't forget about your right leg. And then you might send your head toward the front of your mat, pressing through the right forearm. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then as you're ready, slowly release the foot, let it come down. Come all the way down. Take one cheek to the mat, opposite cheek. Relax, let your heels fall back to the sides. Come back to center. We're going to take a bow pose next. So you might be good to come on your forearms, and maybe you could start actually let's begin on our belly. I like that a little bit better. Bring your heels up so they're pointed upwards, so you bent your knees. Reach your hands back to clasp the outsides of your ankles. First, flex your feet and just start to find some engagement. Get a firm grip. You notice that your chest is already going to come up. Start to lift your way up. Bring your knees toward each other. Your feet are still flexed. Hands at your ankles. And then if you'd like, maybe point your feet and see how that changes things. Maybe go back and forth. Flexed to pointed. Flexed to pointed. How does this affect your low back? How does it affect other parts of your body? Continue to draw your knees toward each other. We have a tendency to let our knees splay out. 2 more breaths. And then slowly release all the way down. Release your feet. Create a pillow with your hands. Take one cheek onto your hands or your forehead straight down. Again, allow yourself to become softer. Maybe you can feel your heart beating into the mat and your mat reflecting it back to you, so that it might feel amplified. And as you're ready, press your way back to a child's pose. For this variation, my recommendation is take your knees toward each other. Of course, if that's something that does not suit you, take your knees wider apart. Allowing your low back to become perhaps a little bit more restful, a little more spacious, with less effort. From your child's pose, forehead is still releasing down toward the mat. Reach your arms long out in front of you. Come up onto your finger pads. Find a deep stretch here. Again, wrapping your inner elbows up, outer shoulder blades down. And then release your palms back down to the mat. Press up to a cat pose. So your back is still arched, really coming into that shape. And then come back down to a neutral spine. Tuck your toes, press up and back, downward facing dog. Again, just take a few moments to recognize the quality of this downward facing dog, both the physical quality and anything else that's going on. Has your relationship to this pose shifted at all? Then rise to your toes, come to the top of a plank pose. Stay here for 3 breaths in plank. Always an option to take your knees down to the mat. And then come down to your forearms. Forearm plank. 3 more breaths. Start to drop one knee down to the mat, and then the other. Just rotating. Come back to regular forearm plank. Walk your feet close into you. Dolphin pose. 3 more breaths. After your third exhale, start to walk your feet back till you're in that forearm plank. And then release yourself all the way down to the mat. Flip onto your back. Bring your knees to your chest. Rock a little from left to right. Give yourself just a little bit of perhaps a soothing massage. And then once again, like we did toward the beginning of our asana session, arms out at a T, knees at a 90-degree angle, not 45. Drop both knees over to the right, trying to keep your left shoulder down toward the mat. Back up to center, maintaining that 90 degrees. Drop over to the left, back to center, to the right, back to center. Slow and controlled, moving from side to side. Bring your knees back to center, arms up above your head. Right leg up, left leg out to hover, left arm crosses, forearm to thigh. Come back to center, starting position, knees at 90 degrees. Right leg up, left leg out. 3 more times. And immediately let's switch to the other side. Left leg up, right leg out to hover, right arms cross, creating a crossbody movement. Always coming back to that beginning position. And then come back to center. Release your feet down to the mat. Bring your arms alongside your body. Shrug your shoulders underneath you. Walk your heels a little bit closer to you. We're going to take a bridge flow here. So make sure that you've got lots of space under your back. So maybe you can lift up, slide yourself down. Get as much purchase on your mat as you can. On an inhale, bring your arms up and back. Start to lift your hips, maybe even lift your heels. No need to make this super intense. We've done quite a lot of this kind of shape. Exhale, roll it all the way down. Hands and heels to drop. 2 more times like this. And then release everything down. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Draw your left thigh in. Flex your right foot. Release the left thigh. Uncross, cross left thigh over right. Interlace your fingers behind your thigh or shin. Bring it in close. Other clasp of your fingertips. Release the right thigh. Uncross your left foot. Take your feet about as wide as your mat. Drop both knees over to the right. Similar to the pivoting that we were doing earlier, more grounded, less intensity in some regards. Take your knees back up to center, drop both knees over to the left. And then take your knees back to center. Extend your legs out in front of you, taking your feet about as wide as your mat, reaching towards the corners of your mat. And then either keeping one hand on heart, one hand on belly, or bring your arms out alongside you, enough so there's space between your torso and your arms. And if you've taken that option, I invite you to leave your palms up. Allow your vision to become blurry or close your eyes. Resting into Shavasana. Allowing the space between the edges of your body and everything beyond you to blur. Taking a deeper breath. And a smoother, cooler, deeper exhale. And as you do so, beginning to notice the boundaries of your body becoming just a little more distinct, or maybe keep a little bit of that looseness, that connection. When you're ready, roll over onto one side. Pause for just a few moments. And then make your way to a seated posture of your choice. We're going to be doing some alternate nostril breathing, Adashodhana. So once you get to where you're going, once you've come to a seated posture of choice, and you will do, you can either pull your index finger and your second finger of your dominant hand in, or press it against the space between your eyebrows as recognition, acknowledgement of your inner wisdom. Press your thumb into the nostril closest to it. Take a deep breath in the opposite nostril. Tap close the other one with a free finger. Notice this fullness, full pot. Open up the thumb nostril, exhale. Breathe into that side. Close it, feel fullness, open to the other, exhale. Inhale. Close off, exhale to the right or the other side. Inhale. Exhale to the other. Inhale. Exhale to the other. Continue with several rounds on your own. And after you finish your next round, release your hands back down to your thighs, breathing in and out through both nostrils. On your next breath in, reach your arms out and up, palms press above you, tilt your chin up. And then on an exhale, take your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows for clarity of thought, to your lips for clarity of speech, and then come down to your heart for clarity of action, by your head to your heart, offering yourself gratitude and respect and honor, thanking yourself, thanking each other for this practice, thanking all the interactions that invite your practice into your life. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. It is so special to me, and thank you for helping me deepen my own practice. In the name of the highest good, namaste.